I saw The Art of Self-Defense, the Jesse Eisenberg movie.
What did you think? I listened to an interview with him on NPR and heard a clip of it.
Yeah.
But I don't really like Jesse Eisenberg.
I don't love him.
Yeah.
This movie was good. I liked it.
You liked it?
Yeah.
Do you think someone who doesn't prefer him? I don't hate him.
Yeah, I don't prefer him.
So you'd like it anyway.
Like I like Zombieland, but I didn't like Adventure Zone or whatever.
I loved Zombieland. But yeah, that had little to do with Jesse.
Yeah. Obviously he was trying his best, but no one could make Lex Luthor work.
No, that's not his fault. He was good in Social Network, but yeah, I attribute anything positive about Social Network to David Fincher.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not rewatchable.
There's nothing about Jesse Eisenberg. I'm like, I want to see that movie now.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was really super weird. It's a weird movie.
Yeah, he does a lot of weird movies like that.
But those movies where...
What's that one that Richard Ayoade wrote and directed? It was like the twin or the... He played two people. Jesse Eisenberg did. Jesse
Eisenberg or Michael Cera? Because that was...
No, Jesse Eisenberg.
Did one of them have a mustache?
No, you're thinking about the Youth in Revolt. I love Youth in Revolt.
Okay.
No, this was like a creepy, dark one.
Oh, no idea.
Richard Ayoade was the director. I don't know. I didn't see it. Whatever.
But it was, those movies where everyone is like a caricature, and that's the thing. Mm-hmm. So everyone in this movie talks like a robot.
Okay.
Like very, very direct, but in over expositionally.
Okay.
But it's it's the hook. It's not
and it works it's done well.
Right, because it's everyone. It's not just one person. And it's just this is apparently how people... It's like a stylized version of sort of the 80s. It might be, it's like the 70s or the 80s. It's not...
Right.
It may be the early 90s, but it's not
Gotcha.
Because no one has a cell phone. The technology's all a little...
It's kind of a nondescript other time.
Yeah. But yeah, like a guy has a computer, but it's a big one of those blocky ones. And it's really clearly old school with old software. So it's probably the
80s?
1994 or something. But it's a goofy, weird, dark movie.
Let's see. The Double is what I was thinking of before.
The Double. Nope.
Yeah, it was an art house kind of a movie.
But, I liked it. It was really strange, though. He takes karate. He learns karate. Mm-hmm. And the woman who teaches the children's class, we get introduced to her when she says, remember, she's talking to children, 9 and younger. Mm-hmm. She says, remember, when you're punching someone's nose up into their brain, it's up into the brain. So the operative word is up. And then she puts a small child to sleep with a chokehold.
That's awesome. That right there is enough for me.
Right. And it's just you're watching it and no one's commenting on how strange it is. Mm-hmm. But it's obviously a thing. And so it's just all right, this is just the world we live in. Where you'll just choke out a child. The parents aren't even paying attention. They're just looking at magazines or whatever.
That fits.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. Welcome once again to Know a Snark, where two former religious types and current snarks take a look at religious media on its own terms.
I'm Hillary.
And I'm Josh, a.k.a. Fuckbuck. That is FCBC, for Christians by Christians.
Ugh.
That's a random FUBU joke. I don't know why. But I realized it would be Fuckbuck, so I'm sticking with it.
I like that so much.
So before we start what we're doing today, as always, do we have anything that we want to hit or miss from previously?
Not that I'm aware of.
I have nothing either. Because you know what? We're perfect and wonderful.
Classic.
And we're going to win trivia tonight.
Hell yeah, we are. Always.
Let's
keep that 100% streak going.
Whoa. What? So let's talk about what we are doing today. Let's get this done.
Okay.
What is it?
Christian Mingle. The movie.
The movie. Now, apparently the movie subtitle is optional.
I saw that too.
Yeah, so it's just Christian Mingle, but maybe the movie.
It does help with the Google search to put the movie.
It really does. And it's a movie about Christian Mingle, the website. It stars Lacey Chabert from Mean Girls and the first voice of Meg Griffin.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mila Kunis is better.
Yeah, well.
I like Lacey, but this movie made me think maybe I don't like Lacey.
So let's describe it in one sentence. Do you have anything?
I actually really could not. I struggled so hard with this for some reason this time. Probably just because my brain's mush.
Yeah, well, mine is relatively simple. This movie is described thusly. A simple ad from the people who brought you JDate and like 9 other dating sites. So now I want to see JDate the movie.
I would do anything to see JDate the movie.
Elite Singles the movie. Zoosk the movie.
Grindr the movie.
Sadly, these are not the Grindr people, but yes, I'd watch that movie.
Just in general.
All those I named are these same people.
Oh, wow. Those people are making some money off some sadness.
Oh, yeah. But yes, I'd 100% watch Grindr the movie. All right, so let's just go ahead and get it done.
Yes.
Because I have a lot of notes here. For apparently this movie was plot intensive.
I have a lot of notes, and I rarely have a lot of notes.
Yeah, so we just gotta get through them.
Yeah. I watched this thing in public with my little notebook.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did anyone notice?
Well, the people who know me there. It's the restaurant near my work, so it's like, okay, I'm putting my headset in. You can interrupt me if you want, but for the record, I'm gonna be having a furrowed brow over here for 2 hours.
Has anyone ever asked like what you're up to?
Oh yeah, they know about my podcast. They know about everything. Okay. Yeah, they're like, is it for the podcast? I'm like, yeah. That's always the same. Like,
when do you do it?
When?
Yeah.
Well, yesterday I just like went there after work.
Okay.
Because I knew that the dogs I'm dog sitting for had a dog walker coming, so I had a cushion.
Yeah.
And I had a free lunch there. So I'm like, I'm gonna go drink some wine, have my free lunch, got a wicked ass crab cake.
Mm-hmm. I see. So you either do it after work a day or like the morning of when we're recording.
Yeah, I mean, I rarely watch them in public. I always do my editing in public, though. It helps me focus, because if I'm in my room, I will just lose track.
Anything else
I will either fall asleep in my own bed, or just start doing something else.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Several restaurants know me as the person who brings a laptop and drinks too much wine.
Cool. Well, Lacey Chabert opens us up with her narration. We all have stories to tell, our own paths to faith in Christ. Some are kookier than others, like finding Jesus in a piece of driftwood. Yeah, more on that in a second. But for me, I didn't see it coming.
Thanks for doing the sigh.
I thought I was looking for a guy to stick a ring on my finger, my Mr. Right. And along the way, something wonderful happened. I found him. That's him with a capital H. So now we're listening to some sweet tunes, as always.
Yeah, and we're watching an opening that reminds me why I'm not on Facebook.
Because it's just a montage of people getting engaged?
Right.
Unbended knee over the music, and it's just supposed to be cute.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I am on Facebook, but boy, am I not really.
Yeah.
As soon as I see people who, like, share too much or, like, do too much, I'm just like, nope, unfriend.
Unfriend. Unfollow. Deleted.
We now see Miss Lacey on a date, and I'm not going to give her name. Her name is Gwyneth in the movie.
She does not look like a Gwyneth.
She does not, and she does not like being called Gwynny. Yeah. Don't call her fucking Gwynny.
Yeah.
But we're going to call her Lacey because that's...
I don't know why she can't go by Gwen. That is such a better name.
Yeah, Gwen's just... whatever.
Only Gwyneth Paltrow goes by Gwyneth.
Yeah, but we see Lacey on a date, and he just isn't listening to her at all because he's too busy very clearly being distracted by the women around him. Instead of the actual date he's actually on with an actual hottie.
Yeah.
So I don't
he's
know.
On a date with a really attractive woman. Yeah. And he's looking at some other moderately attractive women.
She might be just as attractive, but like, why would you...
Clearly he likes blondes, Josh, and you can't get over that.
This is literally the situation of a bird in the hand.
Oh, yes.
Because he's on a date.
Yeah.
She volunteered to go on a date with this guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, but she's like over there and I don't know her yet.
Right.
Like, why would you? Because she's right here.
Well, that tells you why some people are on dating sites and some are not.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay. But the point is she's being ignored by this guy because he's very dumb and he's not remotely good enough, especially looking, to be acting like this.
Not at all. His voice is grating. He says dumb things.
Mm-hmm. He literally made a poop joke.
He does. Yeah, he did that.
Which is not...
He's not attractive.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's definitely not attractive enough to be treating Lacey Chabert.
He's the kind of attractive that's only attractive if he has a great personality.
Right. Now, we do know...
A great personality would make him hot.
Right.
But if you have a bad personality, his looks do not help.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, we do know he's a doctor, so apparently maybe that's related, but...
She would date a doctor just for a doctor. Her character, not Lacey. I don't know her.
Right. She seems fine.
But this character is repulsive.
But he ends up actually ditching her to go talk to the group of girls who've just entered the room. And I'm truly confused. But then we cut to Lacey complaining to her friends. And you can tell which friend hooked them up because she immediately defends this guy. This complete moron. By saying, she's like, one of Lacey's friends says, guys are stupid. And the other friend goes, well, he's definitely not stupid. He's a leading gastroenterologist.
He's a doctor.
It's like, this is your fault.
Oh, that's where the poop joke came from. It's literally his life.
I guess, but don't you want to not to do that with your life?
Yeah. No.
It's like therapists don't want to therapize you on their off time.
Well, he didn't make an anatomically correct poop joke, which I would have preferred.
But he thinks about shit all day, and he's like, "Ooh, I'm still thinking about shit." I don't know. Seems weird to me, but whatever. But it's apparently not just the one friend who hooked them up, because there's another one. Because she just got a text from him who was apologizing, and he was saying that the women he went over to talk to were his high school sweetheart. So he didn't just ditch her, although he did.
Yeah.
So Lacey, the main character of our movie, has a tag team of people setting her up with shitty dudes and then defending these shitty dudes.
Yep. That's exactly what's happening.
These are not
real friends.
Real friends.
This is a toxic environment.
And worse still, when she's complaining, because she's complaining that her date left her.
Abandoned her on their date after not listening to her on their date to be with another woman on their date.
All that. And then they basically warn her that if she's not careful, basically if she doesn't stop complaining, she's going to end up being the last one standing. Yes. Because she is single, unlike the rest of them. Which
made me question what year this was made.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised to find out it wasn't 1956.
So again, what they're basically saying is, well, I know he totally ditched you to go possibly bang some other woman across the room who he doesn't know.
But beggars can't be choosers.
But beggars can't be choosers. He's a doctor.
Being married is being married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's gross.
Rather date or marry a disgustoid than be single for a hot minute. Yeah.
But all right. So literally all Lacey says on her little narration says she just doesn't want to be alone and just meet a guy who will look at her for 10 seconds and smile at her. It's very simple. She's very simple.
I feel bad for these types of girls, for real. I hate them, but I also feel bad for them.
Yeah. But she walks home dejected and she gets on the internet while watching TV. And I realize that she's me! We are kindred spirits, me and Lacey. And I just wanted her to know I'm available.
She chose to do this movie, Josh. Is she still attractive to you?
Everybody has a past.
Well, when the holidays roll around, let's watch a whole bunch of Lacey's Lifetime or Hallmark movies. Yes.
Hey, everybody has a past.
I'll do that voluntarily. I said that like it was a joke. I really actually fucking love those movies.
A lot of people do.
They're terrible.
Yeah. But anyway, this leads her to see an ad for Christian Mingle on the TV. She rejects it, of course, but her friend, who she had said was definitely going to be the last one standing instead of her, is now
bitch comment.
Yeah, because they're like, you're going to be the last one standing. She's like, no, it's going to be, Anne-Marie?
Thank God they didn't show a picture of Anne-Marie. Did they show a picture of Anne-Marie?
They showed
is that
her
the fat friend? Because you're being a bitch.
Well, right here, she gets a Facebook post about that woman getting engaged. And she didn't appear to be obviously unattractive or anything.
No. Right.
So that, it wasn't quite as bitchy.
Right. But also,
that would be way ruder if you were
it was a rude comment to begin with for somebody that she considers a friend. And then clearly this friend was already in a relationship. She steps ahead of her. So the likelihood of that not working out versus her finding somebody in the meantime and getting married.
Very minimal. But she was so confident. But now that person is engaged. So Lacey can't believe this shit. She's just like, what? How? And a week passes and her narration complains again about being 30 and still single, with not even a single long-term relationship under her belt. Yeah. Which, honestly, you have to be crazy, right?
I mean...
she's got to be insane.
Are you talking about me right now?
No. You haven't, tried for it your whole life and failed miserably.
It's not my goal.
Yeah, there's a huge difference here.
Her personality is marriage. Her personality is bride to be.
Right.
Yeah.
But that would say to me that that's not that hard.
No, it seems like if that is the goal and that's what you want to work on, what you're working towards,
she would have had at least
one long-term relationship that didn't work out.
Right. So it's really, this is not a real person that exists, is what I'm saying.
It's almost like this was written by a man. And it was.
It definitely was. But she still, and she says, by golly, did I try to, get in the relationships? And I'm not sure what they're implying there, but they're definitely implying something. Because she's like, oh, I dated. Oh, I dated a lot.
I've seen some dark shit. I've done things I'm not proud of.
You know, I'm just saying. I don't call my mom after dates anymore. Because my mom's always disappointed by what happened. But anyway, she's convinced that it is now or never. And if she's being completely honest, she's not going to just settle for a guy who will look at her for 10 seconds and smile. She's looking for a genuinely decent guy. But she's certain that he's out there somewhere, wherever, somewhere. So now she goes to work, and she works at an advertising agency, and she has a relatively good position. We know this because she has an office.
Yeah.
And her boss comes to her and, like, knows her name and talks to her directly, and he wears a captain hat. And he's that really lovable guy, that actor who's in, like, everything.
Day.
Groundhog Day. He's Ned. Silicon Valley. He's Action Jack Barker.
No, he's in fucking everything. I love him. What's his name? Like, Steven Tobolowsky?
Tobolowsky or something.
Yes. He's great.
He was in Glee, Deadwood, Memento, this movie, Heroes, The Goldbergs, One Day at a Time, this movie, everything.
Everything.
So, but basically he's you know who he is.
Yeah.
If you've seen any...
I saw his name in the opening credits and I knew who he was.
I didn't know his name until now, but now I do.
It's one of those ones I recognize, but I can't always think of when I'm trying to remember Ned's name.
Yeah, but he's a real lovable dude.
Yeah.
And anyway, he's wearing a captain's hat and he likes people to call him Admiral. Because it's, like, maritime advertising is the company. But Boss Man has a meeting with the big infomercial king today to try to get their agency to advertise a new product. It's a pretty big deal. This is a product that is supposedly a cure for baldness, just completely.
Right.
And obviously, they want that job. And of course, Boss Man is still bald, so it's probably not a real thing. And Lacey doesn't...
No, Boss Man hasn't used it yet. He believes in the product. He thinks it will work, and the women are like, okay.
And Lacey doesn't believe it, obviously. But she's still trying to do her job, so she's going to try. An infomercial king is here to live amongst them for a few days and possibly appoint them as his brand ambassadors.
Another notable actor.
Yeah, but I don't know him as well.
He was Mr. Peterson on Seinfeld. He was Elaine's boss.
Yes.
Jay Peterson.
Yeah.
That was right? Peterson?
Peterson. What did George work for?
He worked several jobs. But she worked as, like, he was right, because
she was like a secretary or assistant or something.
No, she, like, wrote copy for, like J. Crew type catalogs.
Yes. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, he's in stuff too. He's
all over the place.
Yeah.
They've got John Hurley. That's his name. I can't believe I remembered that.
But Lacey's upset because she's obviously still very single, and now she has to go and convince bald guys that she's got that magic solution. So she's basically just like, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, this is dumb.
So she's told by her friend, her sassy black friend, let's just say it.
Yeah.
Sassy black friend.
That's her personality.
That's her entire thing, because this is still a Christian movie.
Supporter of a white girl.
Right.
That's her
This is a
job.
Christian movie, and unless you're starring black people, you have one black friend, and she's sassy.
She's supposed to be, yes.
First off, she's always
having a similar job as Lacey, right?
Yeah.
So she should also be working on
No, she seems like the boss's assistant.
Is that
because he's always telling her to get coffee. And
or she's supposed to have Lacey's type job, and that's her description, but then she's told to get coffee all the time.
That could be it too.
Either
They're
way.
unclear.
Right.
I took it more as an assistant, but maybe I'm giving them too much credit. Because she, if she's so sassy, you figure if she had, like, Lacey's job, she wouldn't be like, oh, I'll get the coffee.
Right, no, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, she'd be like, what the fuck? No, fuck you.
You get the coffee.
I will kick that hat off your head. I would hope. But, she tells her that maybe she's looking for men in all the wrong places. And Lacey seems receptive to that idea. And tonight, another commercial plays for the one and only ChristianMingle.com.
Do you remember their tagline?
No.
It's so funny to me. Funny enough that I wrote it down. It's the largest community, both nationally and where you live.
Okay.
It's the largest nationally, but also where you live.
Right.
Which I guess is just their way of saying we've made this infomercial to play nationally, but we're not going to do we're not going to do
the work.
Yeah, to have, city-based commercials. And also in Atlanta. No.
Yeah. I
mean, nationally and where you live.
Yeah.
If it's where you live, it's...
Oh, yeah, they won't even get the narrator to record a couple of cities.
Exactly.
Like 7
But
major
also,
cities.
if it's nationally, then that is where you live, if you live in the nation. So...
But I think they're also trying to say Christians are a large group of people. So, like, you want to meet the most people. It's not... it's true.
Yeah. Well, then they could say nationally, including where you live.
Yeah, that's true.
She's like, also, where you live, which is a part of this nation.
Can you imagine?
Sorry, that's hilarious, and you're not giving it nearly... I did it wrong, clearly.
No,
I'm not explaining this. Or why I laughed that loud in a restaurant with headphones on.
Nationally, and where you live. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they could at least do, like, 24 major cities.
Right.
It's like New York, Miami,
wherever they're
Atlanta,
playing it. Yeah.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
San Diego. Los
the
Angeles.
Largest community nationally, and also in the greater metro Atlanta area.
The greater metro, that's all of Georgia almost.
There it is. Yeah, everybody considers themselves Atlantan if they live within 25 miles.
Mm-hmm. Although at this point, Atlanta is large enough.
It is large enough. And the perimeter is wide enough. It's fine.
Yeah, okay. But Lacey's, vaguely religious in that pretty typical sense. But that also means she's not entirely opposed to this idea of Christian Mingle. So this time the commercial takes hold in her mind, and she opens up her computer to give it a good old-fashioned try. And she does tell a little lie early on, though, when she claims to the website that she goes to church every week. Mm-hmm. And obviously, we don't know her that well, but we know that's not true.
No, but this is also a level of desperation that she should see a therapist.
But she was told, maybe you're looking for guys in the wrong place. And she's like, you know what? I'll try some new shit.
Yeah, but also lying about yourself and the rest of the, spoiler alert, the rest of the movie, all she's doing is lying about herself just to get a dude, just to get married.
Get that dick!
Yeah, it's not even a part of her. Her goal to get a boyfriend is so much more important to her than her finding somebody she likes. Mm-hmm. Being liked is more important than liking.
Right.
And that is a very dangerous way to view relationships.
Yeah, so, it's not the best way to go about it, but honestly, for me, it's not that big a deal.
It's a huge-ass deal. This is how you end up in very, very bad relationships.
Well, like, I think if the situation were a little different, like a minor fib on a dating profile is pretty
You like
normal.
olives? I like olives.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah, you're right.
She's
but this is a personality trait, especially for this guy who's going to be like,
right,
into it.
Well, also, it's just like, it's a complete lifestyle.
That's what I mean. I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Because, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, on a normal dating site, like a Tinder or a Bumble or even an OkCupid.
Yeah.
If you list yourself as Christian, but you go to church, like, on Easter and Christmas.
Yeah.
And it's just not that
Holiday
big a deal
Christian.
for you. A holiday Christian. You still qualify.
Yeah. So she doesn't have to lie about being, like, completely...
But you're right, because this is a website for people who are, like... Christian. So
it's like if I was like, I'm so desperate for a boyfriend, I'm just going to tell everybody I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
Because I've already dated all the, white Christian boys.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm going to try for Jew.
Yeah, you're right. That would be weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
And horrible.
I'm leaning to you again.
Thanks.
But anyway, she starts off with a little lie. And she does, take a good selfie to attract all the cute boys, because again, this is Lacey Chabert, and it's extremely easy to take a good selfie with cheekbones like that.
True.
Even
but
though she
also,
pretends...
why is she taking a selfie in the dark in front of her computer light when she definitely is the type who has a selfie of herself every single day for the last 25 years?
So what actually happened, and I sort of fibbed here,
yeah.
She tries to take a selfie and apparently is not satisfied with it, even though we can see her.
Yeah, but again, blue light... from a bad angle.
We can see her face.
Yeah.
We can all see her face. She's a
good-looking person, but if you're trying to put up a good picture, you don't do it with that kind of lighting.
So she picks one off of her computer, which is like a couple years older. Mm. So now she's really lying. I mean, oh my God. It's like 2 years old. She looks the same.
Her hair was a little shorter.
Her hair was shorter then. She goes to her local bookstore and she picks up a Christianity for Dummies book to bone up on her Jesus so she can bone up on her Jesus freak. Mm-hmm. That's her plan.
Nice, Josh.
And eventually she meets Paul. And this is Paul. He gets a name because he's not memorable in any other way. So he's going to be Paul.
Yep.
She considers leaving before he gets there because she knows it's all based on a lie and it's really awkward anyway because she's never met anybody off the internet, which is probably why she's so single.
Yep.
Really? You're still trying to meet? This is like 2010.
2014.
Really?
Yep.
We were well past just meeting people in person.
Jesus Christ. This movie hurts.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But she considers leaving, but when he arrives, he's just so darn cute that she has no choice but to try to dry hump him at a later date. That's her plan.
That is what we're supposed to believe she thought when she saw him.
Because obviously, he's not going to let her wet hump him, so dry humping it is.
Yeah.
But before that, they have to meet and get along, and it's very awkward at first, because Paul is very awkward, to be clear. It's mostly him.
Incredibly awkward.
But he does do a thing I often recommend, which is just address how weird it is.
Yeah. Yeah, they do that.
Yeah, and it works because it works in life. If you're just like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
It helps make it not weird.
Correct.
It's very useful. So he does that.
Then he says the word papa, and it's weird again. And it stays weird until the movie ends.
Yeah, he tries to correct it, but it's always strange. But yeah, he just, he says, it's pretty weird to try to meet strangers on the internet so you can fuck them later. Mm-hmm. And it seems to help. But yeah, so she makes a weird face because he calls his dad Papa. And it's not like so weird, but it's definitely unusual.
It's so weird.
Is it so weird?
He's in his 20s, maybe
he might be in his 30s.
Yeah. And this is a brand new person, so it's not like someone who grew up with you.
Yeah.
And you say my dad when you're talking about your dad to a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you call your dad. You don't say Papa.
Papa?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right, because even then...
He's not Barbara Streisand and Yentl.
It's like calling your significant other by their name to a stranger.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, Terrence. Like, who the fuck is Terrence? Yeah. Like, oh, my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, why would I know that?
My friend so-and-so.
Right.
My papa.
Or just my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Or my girlfriend. Or my dad. So you're right. I guess you're right.
Right. So
okay.
That's the first strike. First red flag for Hillary. Go on.
But Lacey, still feels a little bit bad about not being an active believer. Mm-hmm. But they get a coffee and a cookie, and Lacey randomly decides to pray over him because she's really bad at this, and she's trying to fit in. And the question is, why would you do this to yourself?
Yeah.
He didn't ask you to pray over coffee.
No, she's desperately trying to be somebody else.
But
Again, get a therapist.
She thanks God for bringing them together and for old photos that people use for dating profiles. And for his part, Paul likes her spunk. Gross, Paul. You just met this woman.
It's true. He can smell it from there.
She has tried dating a lot.
It has messed with her system.
It's coming out of her eyes. So back at work, Lacey is chided by the sassy black friend for not being a Christian. But Lacey's argument isn't entirely unreasonable. If she had just not told the lie she did, it would have worked, I think. She does believe in God. She has been baptized, and she did go to Sunday school, although apparently she didn't learn anything.
No, and she doesn't believe. That's the most important part.
She does believe. She just doesn't, have that big deal about it. One of the options on the website she lied on was special occasions. And she might go to church on special occasions. We don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like she might. Especially if someone asks.
Right.
So, she just went too extreme, really. She could have just been like, no, not really.
Right.
And been like, okay.
And even on this date, she could have just been like, easily. Like, look, I consider myself a Christian. This is the kind of Christian I am.
Right.
But she's not a confident person.
Right.
Who believes that there's any reason anybody should love her.
So
she was them.
That's what I think her major error was.
Yeah.
It's just, she is technically a Christian in the nominal way that a lot of Americans are.
Right.
She just doesn't have the true believer syndrome.
And she's not a Christian enough to know when is appropriate to pray.
Right. This movie also can't seem to decide if she, knows anything about this and was baptized and did go to church.
Heard of Christianity. Yeah.
Yeah, she literally doesn't, but it could at one point say, what's Jesus?
She does the equivalent of me dropping Yiddish words inappropriately into conversations.
Yeah. Paul's like, I like your spunk. She's like, I like your chutzpah.
Yeah, chutzpah. Yeah. That's right.
It's Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.
But, her friend, sassy black friend, doesn't think this counts because Christian Mingle is for real Christians looking for other real Christians. And I was just like, fuck off, lady. Just let her do whatever.
Yeah.
But they are interrupted by the infomercial king, who they are trying to get a job from, who basically interviews Lacey and calls her out for not being a believer. He says, you're not a believer, are you?
Yeah.
She's like, what?
Did you get nerves going into this, though, too? Because he was like, I would like to talk to her alone with the door closed.
Oh, no, I did not.
Oh, I immediately was like, that's not a good idea.
Don't do that.
He says to her boss, he's like, I'd like to talk to Lacey here. Again, her name's Gwen, who cares? I'd like to talk to Lacey here, one-on-one. And he has this guy, John Hurley, I love him. Part of his whole shtick is kind of a smarminess.
Yeah.
So he has a smarminess that usually is funny, like in Seinfeld, but in this instance is gross because he's doing it towards a 20-something, maybe 30-year-old.
She is 30. She said it.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
So the boss is like, all right, I'll just head on out. And they close the door and sit down. I'm like, oh, fuck, he's about to do something icky.
Yeah, I would believe it. I would expect it from a different movie, but this is Christian Mingle, so I figured it probably wasn't going to be.
Right.
They either go all the way or not at all.
You're right. You're right.
That sort of thing.
Extremes. Only extremes.
Yeah, we'll get a movie about prison and raping people.
True.
And it'll just be like over the top, or we'll just be like, everyone is perfect all the time.
And we have this one where people say, gee golly.
Gee golly.
Yeah.
Golly, gee willikers.
They say things like that constantly, and yes. I fucking hate it.
But he basically says she's not a believer and she doesn't know what he's talking about, but of course he's talking about his hair loss solution. Mm-hmm. But he shows her pictures of his own bald head to prove how well it works. That's obviously just like a bad Photoshop, but... Well, yeah. Or a bald cap.
I wish this was a better scene because it was set up earlier when she was looking at before and afters online. She was watching in the infomercials. That's where Christian Mingle popped up.
Yeah.
And one of those like diet before and after things was on. And she was like, that's not even the same person. Or like, that's clearly an after before or whatever. Mm-hmm. So she was like calling things out. And then when he presents this, I was expecting him to be like, look, I know you shaved your head for this picture. Right. I'll still sell your product, but this is very obviously either Photoshop or, it's false.
Yeah. All right, but
that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, they didn't go that hard. But now we get to go to her and Paul's second date. And he didn't tell her that he doesn't like sushi, but here they are at a sushi restaurant while racist-ass Ching Chong music plays in the background.
Word up. Red flag number 2. This guy cannot be in any culture outside of his own.
Oh, yeah. Because he doesn't say he doesn't like sushi, but he wants to try it. And he
handles it like a 5-year-old.
He hates it.
He handles it like a 5-year-old. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because an adult, if you try sushi and don't like it, you know what you do? You take it out of your mouth and you put it on your plate.
You do that, or you just swallow it like a fucking grown-ass person. And you're like, I did not enjoy that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You don't dry
Do you have any idea how many things I've swallowed I didn't like?
Girl, tell me more. Been there, done that, never again. Look, I've dated, Josh.
By golly, you've tried.
By golly, I've tried. But this guy was embarrassing to look at, and I can't imagine being on a date with somebody. It's fine not to like the same thing, or just be like, I said I like sushi because I like you, but I've never really had it, I'm a little nervous about it. Like, you're in a Chinese restaurant or a Japanese restaurant, just get some noodles.
Get some hibachi.
Yeah, get some hibachi, get some noodles, get some teriyaki chicken, something you're comfortable with. And if you do want to try a piece. But definitely don't dry heave. Yeah.
Tuna.
Exactly. Oh my god, I was so embarrassed.
Yeah,
and
it's not good.
Not gonna lie, at this point I'm like, oh good, she's gonna see that this is not, like, this is gonna be the first guy she tries, and she gets dejected again. Mm-hmm. And then she finds the next guy. Mm-hmm. Nope.
It's audience. Paul, baby.
Paul is the one.
One for her.
I fucking hate this movie, Josh. Go on. Keep going.
Well, I'm gonna skip most of this because you explained it. She goes to a Bible study with him next, and it goes okay.
Yeah.
She doesn't know how to relate to Christians and ends up talking about how, due to the temptation of sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife and each wife should have her own husband. And it's real weird.
It's real weird.
She's weird.
Because she misunderstood. Pretty obvious. Excerpt.
She didn't even really misunderstand it.
Yes, she did.
Did she?
Yeah, it's about, that excerpt was about not cheating on your spouse or whatever. Right. Or not, being with other people's spouses. But what I think she read it as, everybody should get to have their own other person. Everybody should have their wife. Everybody should have a husband. Because that's actually what she sees everything in the world.
Right. So I read the scene a little differently.
Okay.
Not so much that she misunderstood it, although it's just that she randomly brought it up in a time no one was talking about it.
She was trying to quote the Bible, and that was one of the quotes that resonated with her because all she hears and sees in the world is how people should be married and how she wishes she was married.
So maybe it's both. Because really,
my wine. For you and the audience, I want people to know where I'm at.
But for me, it was more that, like, she just brings the shit up out of nowhere. It'd be similar to going to a dinner date with Paul's friends.
Right.
And randomly quoting, like, Leviticus, where it's like, you shall not eat shellfish, it's an abomination. It'd be like, what are you doing? Like, we're at a steakhouse, first off. There's no shellfish.
Or me with my hopefully new Jewish family being like, matzah!
Yeah.
It's delicious!
Yeah, just like...
Like, we weren't talking
We're literally talking about Euphoria.
I feel like I just finished watching Breaking Bad. That's what we were talking about.
All right. But it goes okay, I guess. And one of Paul's friends is happy to see him so happy for once. It's been so long, she says to Lacey.
By the way, all of his friends have names that end with Y. So it's like Gabby, Polly, Kelly, Jerry. Gabby. I don't remember the names, but
we fortunately don't have to watch them Bible studying. So we get to cut to Lacey getting her job done and living her best seductive life with Paul. It's a bit of a montage. She's doing stuff. And she does...
Don't skip over the Kelly part, because that's... Oh.
Next sentence, don't worry.
Oh, sorry.
She does very quickly pick up that Paul has a connection with his lifelong friend, Kelly. And so she sort of asks him, she's like, what's the deal with Kelly? You and Kelly bumping uglies?
What's up? What's
going on here? And Paul doesn't see it. He's like, what? What is that? What are you talking about?
Paul's a moron on so many levels.
Paul's very stupid.
Yeah.
But Lacey's smarter than him, but we'll get there. They talk about how Lacey, always wanted to be a teacher, but wound up in advertising because she basically faked it until she maked it, and now she's maked it into a career.
Yeah.
And he also...
She's going to do the same to him.
That's her plan, I guess.
Yeah.
But now he asks her about her Christian journey. She says she's not really ready to answer that because obviously we know she doesn't have an answer. But for him, she's just like, I'm just not ready to share that story. And he tells her a ridiculous story. Basically, his version is really boring. He was born into it. It's very normal.
Right.
He was born into it. He believes that his dad and mom are really true believers.
He's never questioned a thing in his entire life.
Mm-hmm. But his dad has this crazy story, and this is relevant, about finding a piece of driftwood because he was a drifter.
Call back to the beginning.
Right. And being motivated to carve a statue of Jesus into this piece of driftwood. So that's the callback to the first part where she mentioned driftwood. And Paul doesn't really have his own driftwood moment, so I'm not even going to bother.
Also, this driftwood story is such obvious bullshit. His dad is so full of fucking shit.
And essentially this scene ends with Lacey pointing out that his dad was apparently a drifter who found driftwood and then made it. And he's like, oh my god, I never made that connection before. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, you are an idiot, Paul.
He doesn't say that. He's mostly just like, she's so funny.
Wow.
You're brilliant.
Smart. Yeah.
You're so brilliant and beautiful.
It's really
and hilarious.
easy to be seen as brilliant and beautiful when you're with a mediocre-looking dummy. That's why she's good. Oh, that's it. That's the motivation. She wants to be with somebody dumber and uglier than her.
Hey.
To feel better for her. Yeah.
He kind of talks her, though, into giving him a little smooch. Because she's like, you really...
Or he takes one.
Well...
She was like... Whatever.
She says he's really working for that goodnight kiss. And he goes, nope, don't want it. She's like, really? You don't want to kiss me? And he's like, nope, I'm gonna leave now.
Yeah.
But then she, hesitates, so he goes for it. And she very clearly wanted it. So he sort of mind tricks her.
Kind of.
A little bit. This guy's stolen kisses before.
This is still the part of the story where I'm like, either he's still somebody who's going to be ditched for somebody better, or he's a psychopath. Mm-hmm. He has a lot of psychopathic tendencies, too.
Now, little does this movie know that according to the real Christians that Lacey's friend was talking about earlier in the movie, Christians don't kiss before they're married. And you think I'm making a joke, but I have heard it. I can name you.
But that's very specific denominations.
It's usually the very extreme types.
Right.
But if we're going to talk about how these are real Christians looking for real Christians, then maybe we should consider the fact that some of them are like, no, you don't hold hands.
You're not real enough. Do you wear magic underwear?
Those are Mormons.
I know.
But yeah,
they consider
probably
themselves
some
Christians.
of those, probably some of those too, yeah.
Yeah.
But Lacey goes to church with Paul and his family and Kelly. Weird. His childhood friend, and goes out with them to steak and cake earlier.
The worst thing I've ever heard of in my entire life.
And by earlier, I meant after, not earlier. After church, they go to steak and cake.
Yeah. After she dressed like a Mennonite.
Mm-hmm. She's covering up her whole skin. Just her face. But she's prompted to say grace at their steak and cake meal. She fumbles her way through it. But I want to talk about steak and cake.
Please do.
Because it's the funniest thing it's the closest thing to a joke this movie makes.
Does it? Because it doesn't treat it like a joke. It is a joke.
That's for me the part that's funny.
I see. Okay.
It's absurd. So let me tell you what's happening. There is a table, a big ass table like a steak and shake, and they have
a diner. It looks like a cheap, crappy diner.
But they have a serving platter full of steak, cooked steaks,
just slabs of meat,
and 2 feet to the left is another serving platter with an actual full cake on it.
One of many. How many people are here? Like 6?
Yeah, there might be like
and nary
10.
a vegetable in sight. It's the most American thing I've ever been embarrassed to witness.
That's what I'm saying. This is the closest thing to a joke this movie makes.
You're right.
I think it's hilarious.
Not on purpose.
Because it's fucking bizarre.
This family is a family of psychopaths.
Because he's right. It is only steak and only cake. There's nothing in between.
No, like, shareable
I don't even think
salad?
they have silverware.
I'm pretty sure they're just eating it off a plate like dogs. And the dad hasn't even finished his steak before he demands some cake, and he wants the one over there.
So it's just such a...
And one of those people is Morgan Fairchild.
Yes.
Who I'm not sure has had a bite of steak or cake in the last 45 to 50 years.
Yes, Paul's mom is Morgan Fairchild.
Yes.
Which is weird. We're going to say that multiple times because I want everyone to acknowledge.
Yeah.
But it's such a weird...
The amount of heart disease. It should show up in their faces. These are older people.
But it's just so weird. And I loved it. It's so strange. Okay, but the point of this scene is that Lacey finds out that Paul is going on a mission trip to Mexico with his entire family. And everyone,
Kelly.
And Kelly. Where they're going to help rebuild a Mexican village. And this is news to her, despite the fact that her boyfriend is leaving for an indeterminate amount of time tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And
communication not strong so far in this relationship.
Right. And Paul and his mom, who again is Morgan fucking Fairchild,
yes,
have an argument about how he should have told his girlfriend, but mom doesn't really like Lacey anyway because she can tell that she's hiding something.
Right.
And Paul thinks that she's just being her normal, controlling self.
Because Paul's a dummy.
Right. And he knows his mom is controlling, but apparently is just fine with it.
Well, that, but also she is hiding something, and it is very obvious.
Yes, it's extremely clear. But Lacey's upset, and she's now refusing Paul's calls because she's a responsible adult. Uh-huh. She's mature. And she presents her new ideas to the infomercial king about his hair-growing pill. And she winds up in a bit of a spiel about how it's God's fault to be bald, and we just want God to help us out because she's winging it. She was not ready. Nope. She's flailing.
Yep.
But she's going for it because she's an ad person and she does ads.
So, apparently, she's no Don Draper.
Right, because it goes really poorly for her. She goes into her office and she calls Paul, and it gets interrupted by her boss coming in to yell at her about what the hell was that? Besides the worst ad ideas ever. One of the other idea was to shoot baldness.
Oh, right.
With a gun, a little blue bullet.
Honestly, I was surprised that didn't fly.
Yeah, I actually thought it wasn't terrible.
No, it's not terrible, but also America.
Yeah, that's what I meant mostly.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we're gonna just murder. But like, they do point out, to be fair, when the infomercial king rejects it, he's like, I don't know if we're in the political climate for shooting baldness with blue bullets. It's like, I don't know about that one.
What's funny is we're more in that, we're more there now than we were in 2014.
Yeah.
We've degraded as a society.
We've regressed in this level.
Absolutely. So go on.
But she calls Paul and she tries to break up with him because obviously he lied to her and didn't say that he was going to be gone for a month. Mm-hmm. But he ends up inviting her to join them in Mexico for the big village rebuild. And she ends up going after her boss yells at her. So rather than her face her professional woes, she runs off to Mexico with her boyfriend. And she wound up packing for a vacation. But now, once she's down there, realizes that this is a mostly manual labor sort of trip.
Except for the fact that she was told it was a mission trip.
Yeah, she did.
So she, until this point, seemed like, aside from her priorities being a bit off, mm-hmm. she seems like an intelligent person. Mm-hmm. When they're going to go rebuild a city, and she heard Cabo, I'm confused.
Yeah, she arrives at the village in a sundress.
Right. It doesn't fit her character.
Mm. But this movie doesn't know anything about characters. But
it doesn't.
She's ditching work. She tells her friend to cover for her, and she expects the task at hand to be relatively simple, but everyone seems woefully ill-prepared. Mm-hmm. They go up to, see there's a big bell. They want to put the bell in the church.
I'm pretty sure that's the only thing they went to fix. Yeah. That was the obsession. It was like, we're not leaving until that bell rings.
So you just put the bell up.
Put the bell up. Also, do they have agriculture? What are we actually helping them with?
They don't seem to be, crazy, crazy broke or anything.
No, but also, yeah. I just hate mission trips in general.
No, it's usually, bullshit. Yeah, it's often white savior bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, if you can hang this bell, they can hang the bell. They probably just don't prioritize the bell because it's a bell.
It's a bell, yeah. Something probably got knocked down that was important to their,
Yeah. We could use a lot more other stuff rather than a bell.
Right.
But okay, whatever. They're going to try to hang this bell. And that night, she and Paul bond over his dad singing, and the next morning we watch his mom go through a Bible lesson with captive Mexican children. Mm-hmm. And when asked by one of the children why God lets this tragedy happen despite being a God of love, Mom, Morgan Fairchild, is a fucking ass and asks Lacey if she knows the answer.
And the kid asks in Spanish.
Right.
And the mom knows that Lacey can't speak Spanish.
Right.
So she asks Lacey to answer the question, without interpreting what the question was.
Right.
Because she's a dick face.
And then when it's translated for her,
yeah,
she knows what she was doing.
I dated a dude in a family like this. Not because super Christian, but they're like bitchy for no reason people. Yeah. You know, Christians, hateful. That's what this movie is putting out there.
That's what they're saying.
These are the good people, and they're assholes. Heart disease-ridden assholes.
So Lacey, of course, doesn't know and doesn't speak Spanish. But Mom can tell, of course, something is up because she doesn't know the answer to why would God let bad things happen if he's so nice? And as we've talked about, there is no good answer. But of course, you're supposed to have at least some canned response ready for the children if you're a true believer.
Right.
And Lacey's narration points out that it is now official. Her jig is up. Everyone knows that she's not a Christian, and she knows they know she knows she's not.
Well, she had also, like, dumped out the Christianity for Dummies book on her bed. Yeah.
And actually,
they never show anybody's finding it or whatever. It's just implied that that's why they know.
Well, it does come up because the next scene is her and Paul having a big heart-to-heart about whether or not she's enjoying this trip, and whether she's really a Christian. And they found her Christianity for Dummies book. And she, you know, he calls her out for not being a believer, and he's really confused that she's not because apparently she played the part so well, which is stupid. He's so very stupid.
Very dumb.
But the scene is an excellent example. This is what I noticed, and this is usually your purview, so I'm glad I'm getting in on this.
Oh, go.
This scene is a great example of how important lighting is in movies.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Because I'm sure you noticed.
I did.
He looks completely different in this shot, and he's significantly uglier.
That's so true. He looks like a troll.
Yeah. Like, I think he's an average to slightly above average looking man. I could be wrong.
Average is perfect.
Okay. He's an average looking guy.
He is a white dude with brown hair.
He's a white dude with brown hair.
He looks like every other white dude with brown hair.
That's fair. He's a very average looking man.
Yes.
This lighting, I was like, oh no. This is not what you thought it was.
I wish that was also, we got a point of view from her aspect. Yeah. And she's like, oh God.
No.
Why was I even into this? I'm going home.
But after presenting the Christianity for Dummies book they found, he basically calls out her entire journey of her, like, faith life, you know? He's like, you search your whole life looking for something bigger, and, you know, mostly covers the basis, but then something bad happens, and you look around and you see all the terrible things in the world, and you add that to the negative spin that the world has for religion generally, and you toss it all out and go back and forth, accept it, then you reject it, then you accept it. And he says, you know, he understands a little bit. You wouldn't be human if you didn't question at least some of this stuff.
Except for he never has.
But he asks what she was expecting, and she doesn't know, but she just wanted a dude who wasn't so wrapped up in himself. And he's cute and he's genuine, while she was lying, you know? And he asks why, but to her it seems really obvious. I was lying because you're so cute and genuine, duh. Even in this lighting.
Yeah.
She's very forgiving, is what we're learning.
No, desperate. The word is desperate.
And for her part, she says, what's it matter? In the end, they met, so let's move along. But he needs to be able to share the most important things to him with his mate, and that's Jesus.
His mate?
I might have phrased it on purpose. But she knows that his mom wants Paul to be with Kelly, but she'd like him to work with her to get to a place that they're both comfortable with. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't think it works like that. So he dumps her and, without words, asks her to leave. And so she cries a little bit, but ends up leaving, while Paul holds back his own tears because he's a man and he's been socialized to never cry and won't allow himself to now. Mm-hmm. And her narration tells us that this was one of the worst moments of her life, but things were exactly as they were meant to be. It's called grace, don't you know?
That's actually not, no, I think it's called faith, or fate.
It's
Hold
fate.
on. We don't want to talk about it. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's get over this.
Back at work, Lacey's friend basically told you so's her. Because she has great friends. But she's
the only true friend.
That's true.
She's the only one
she did tell her not to do this.
Her. Yeah.
But it's kind of rude to be like, haha, gotcha. I knew it was going to happen. Like, all right, this is not the time for this.
I would have absolutely done the same thing. Like, what the fuck did I tell you?
But Lacey's back in the world now, and she throws out her Bible and Christian-related stuff before going back that night to get the Bible out of the trash at least. And at her bicycle repair shop, played by Corbin Burnson, who also directed this movie.
Yep. And wrote it. I think he wrote it.
Oh, did he write it? I don't know.
I think he wrote it. It's oof.
But another Christian Mingle commercial comes on, and they talk a little bit about the dating world, but she mostly gets inspired about her hair loss pill problem. Because she goes back to work and she says she can't live this false life anymore, and she won't market it, because there's nothing here that she can believe in to get behind. And if she can't believe in it, at least a little bit, she's not going to do it. So she refuses to her boss to do this pitch, and she opens up her Bible from the very beginning, because that's where she really needed to start. Mm-hmm. At the beginning. Genesis. In the beginning, there was, I don't know.
Vodka? Is that what you're going to say?
There was vodka, and God drank a bunch of vodka, and then he sneezed.
And then he shat out.
He shat out the universe.
God-forsaken place.
And that explains why everything is as it was. Sterile initially, like vodka, but becoming worse and worse the more you add.
Right. Alcohol shits. We've all had them.
And while she's walking down the street, this is obviously a collection of little scenes that are happening. I'm just skipping them because it's what we do. While she's walking down the street, she hears music coming from a building, but it sounds gospel-y.
Yes.
And so she decides to check it out. So she opens up the door, she sees people having such a good time, and now she definitely feels the spirit. And so she ends up participating, and this musical break ends up being a montage of her going on her little spiritual journey, including ending up volunteering for the homeless. She considers calling Paul, but she does refrain for now. And now she's talking to Sassy Black Friend about how she just needs truth, capital T, and finally feels that at the whole church thing, it's working for her. This is what I needed. And it's revealed that Sassy Black Friend has been a Christian this whole time.
Obviously.
She quotes a Bible verse at her.
Yeah.
And Lacey's like, oh, you're one. And she's like, yeah, I'm just not,
Again, dummy. I picked that up. Scene 1.
Right. And she says that while it's a good start, Lacey isn't quite there yet. So Lacey proclaims that she's really just wants a proper relationship with Jesus. So that's something. And when she does do that, she ends up calling Paul, but she gets his voicemail. So, what does she do?
Tell me.
She ends up going to the church she went to him with once. She went with him to once. She ends up going to the church that he goes to.
Yes.
To
stalk him.
Basically stalk him. Track him down. She says she wants to apologize.
He was that great.
Yeah. She says she wants to apologize. But it's weird.
It is weird.
Like, she called him. She left a voicemail. Or did she? I don't think she did. But
she ignored him for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Then called him. He didn't answer. She could have left a voicemail. She could have texted him.
Yeah.
She could have done anything.
Right.
But instead, she showed up at his church. But she apologizes. She tells him, he hopes he can forgive her. And it's really awkward for everybody. But then it gets worse because, his ex has already kind of semi-stalked him. Mm-hmm. And she thanks him for waking something up in her and that passion for Jesus. And she feels like she has a sense of purpose for the first time in a long time. But then it gets weirder because Mom, Morgan Fairchild, comes in and brings Kelly with her. And it's revealed that Kelly and Paul are now together, finally.
Yes.
Because Kelly...
As has been orchestrated since childhood.
Right. Because Kelly does a really super obvious, really lame, passive-aggressive Christian power move and just holds Paul's hand really forcefully.
Yeah.
And, stands there and sort of stares.
It's so awkward.
Like, do you want something?
Ugh.
This is my man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that dick and you ain't.
I have been hunting this man. This perfect being for so long.
Yes, so I hate Kelly and I hate Mom. They're both the worst.
I hate him. He's a dummy who has no control over his own life.
But he hasn't done anything.
Yes, he's done nothing, which is exactly why I hate.
Right.
At least they're actively involved in their own lives.
Yeah, that's true. But a scene happens and Lacey and Paul are going to meet again to have a chat. And he knows that she wants to say something, so she just tells him. On the one hand, she's really happy for him, but on the other, she's disappointed. She knows she messed up and she lied to him, so that's the whole thing. But she's wondering what his deception is costing him. Because if he's happy, then she's happy for him, but she's not so sure. She doesn't think that he really likes Kelly the way that he would like to. And he's playing it safe with the childhood friend that both him and his dad want him to date this whole time.
Or, yeah, her mom, or his mom and his dad.
What did I say?
Him and his dad.
Whatever. But basically... when is he going to stop playing it safe and actually get to live his own life? When is he going to get to do what he really wants?
When's anyone going to point out that their entire relationship was both based on a lie and they had nothing in common to begin with? So it's not like they had all these other things going for them.
Right. But she points out, my church, the one that I go to, is really chill and laid back, which is a code word for black.
Yep.
But is it
really urban?
Yeah. It's like it's inner city.
Ethnic.
Mm-hmm. But is it any less Christian than his own stodgy, fancy, boring one? No. It's like his life has been laid out for him by everyone but him, and she just wants him to take his turn to take some chances and give Safe a break. So he gets a little pissed at her for this conversation because he thinks that she's way off base and doesn't appreciate her spending 5 minutes trying to find her way to Christianity and then trying to lecture him on how to live his life. So she should fuck all the way off. Of course, he doesn't say fuck off, but he does say, I'll pray for you, which is Christian
Basically,
for fuck off.
Fuck off. Yeah. Have a blessed day.
Yeah, have a blessed day. Go fuck yourself. Hope you get hit by a bus. But he tells her that they should not talk anymore. He's done with her. And so she realizes in her own life that it is not enough to talk about God. She's got to know him personally. So she finally starts praying, which presents itself on screen as her talking to herself while yelling at the sky. Because she and God are having a bit of a tiff right now.
Yeah.
They're not getting along. But she gets a letter from a Mexican child thanking her for helping rebuild the village. And this is just so inspirational. So inspirational, in fact, that for Christmas, Lacey heads down to the village to teach the Mexican children English. And while down there, a kid comes in and tells her that she needs to go to the church. Something is going on. So she runs off from her classroom only to find who else but Paul.
Ugh.
He's not sure why, but here he is in Mexico chasing after her. He and Kelly have broken up, and he admits that he was completely wrong, and was definitely playing it safe before. But now he's come down here to do that and let her know that he was wrong, and he was a fool to let her go. And he gives her a big old smoocher, and he hasn't stopped feeling the way he does about her since whenever the last time they saw each other or broke up or whatever.
Again, never saw that. Never witnessed the chemistry. Yeah.
So they head back to her classroom where she introduces the children to her new and now for real man. And the movie's over. We did it. We finished.
I fucking hate this thing.
It only took us about average time. So let's talk about the best. Let's talk about the worst. Steak and Cake. It's the best because it's so fucking weird.
Steak and Shake. It's the worst because it made me so angry. So angry, Josh.
You said shake. No, you mean Steak and Cake.
Did I say Did I say Steak and Shake?
Steak and Shake is the best
in
real life.
Actually, for real. Steak and Cake.
So our best and worst.
It's the worst thing I've ever heard of in my entire life.
So our best and worst are the same thing.
They are.
That's fun.
Yes.
So what is your best?
My best would be... I really expected to like this. At least enjoy it to a degree. Because again, I like terrible romantic comedies. I think terrible it's like B horror movies. They're exactly the same to me. They give you the same satisfaction for their terribleness. This one did not. Yeah. So basically my general disappointment that I didn't enjoy.
A word of it. Okay.
Yeah.
See, this is something it's minor, but I don't hate this movie. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I was like, for the movies we've seen, honestly, this is one of the easiest ones for me to do.
Oh my God. I don't understand that whatsoever. The fact that the guy who started out, like, when we first meet him, he's awful.
Yeah.
And then he gets awfuler, and you're like, oh, wait. At the halfway point, I realized that, oh, this is the guy. This is not just, like, that red herring at the beginning that makes you think that, like, this is the guy that she, And then later, somebody else who, like, she quote-unquote hates. Like, the guy at her office. And then later she finds out he's a Christian, and after she's gone on this whole journey, and they've had chemistry this whole time. No, she never had chemistry with anybody. Her goal in life was to get married, no matter what.
Yeah.
And it looks like she got that, and at what cost?
At what cost, though? All right, so, who knows? But my worst... I don't know, the whole Kelly side plot? Paul's the worst.
Paul's the worst.
Yeah, Paul's the worst.
Everyone sucks.
He's just so nondescript as a human.
Paul's the worst of a terrible cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what my worst is. He's not a person.
No.
But let's talk about some things that are like this that you should watch instead. What's a good romantic comedy?
Oh, that's not the way I went.
What's the way you went?
I went for a movie that also deals with meeting people online.
Oh.
So I went that route.
Okay.
Everybody, don't watch this movie. Watch Hard Candy.
Oh, shit.
It's a
Watch
fucking great
Hard
movie.
Candy.
Yeah.
That movie is
Without giving away too much,
else.
if you haven't seen it, Ellen Page plays a 14-year-old.
Yep.
Who meets Patrick Wilson,
yep.
who's a 30-something-year-old online.
Yep.
So obvious, not great.
Issues, yeah.
They meet up, they go back to his place, and then shit gets fucking crazy.
Shit
and that's
gets
all
weird
I'm gonna say.
real quick.
It's a great fucking movie.
Hard Candy's a cool movie.
Yeah.
You should really check it out.
What'd you say?
I hadn't really thought of anything yet. I was hoping you would come to me.
I almost went You've Got Mail, because that's a better meeting online rom-com trope, but it's dated.
Let's see. What's a rom-com that I've seen recently that I liked?
I can name several that I've seen that I liked.
I know you liked Isn't It Romantic, but I didn't see it.
I loved Isn't It Romantic.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
And it has problems, but I loved it.
I saw Crazy Rich Asians, but I didn't really love it.
I didn't love it either.
I didn't really even like it.
Everybody loved it. Everybody loved it to the point where I'm like, oh, I'll definitely like it because I just
I thought I was going to like it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything about that movie.
No, but I did actually like the one on Netflix with Ali Wong.
Ali Wong, yeah.
Yeah.
And that guy.
What was that called? Always Be My Maybe.
Yeah.
I actually really like that
I haven't
one.
seen it, but it looks good.
It's good.
Okay, Always Be My Maybe on Hillary's recommendation.
Watch that one. That also
one.
deals with childhood friendship.
Oh, right, because they're childhood friends.
Yeah, so they overlap.
Perfect. Imagine if Paul and Kelly actually did have chemistry.
Right.
And
if that was the storyline.
That's what Always Be My Maybe is about.
Yes.
Check it out. So let's talk about next week, because we're almost done. Finished this shit. What are we doing next week?
Next week we are doing Paws and Tales. Paws, P-A-W-S.
Yep.
Does this involve dogs?
I think it might be bears.
Shut up.
But here's the thing. Don't get too excited, because this... Do you remember Adventures in Odyssey?
Yeah.
It's an audio drama.
So I don't get to see bears?
You don't get to see the bears.
What the fuck is the point?
I don't know, but it's Paws and Tales.
Okay. But Tales is T-A-L-E-S.
Right.
I just feel like the audience should know that.
That's an excellent thing. So P-A-W-S and T-A-L-E-S.
Right.
Paws and Tales.
It's as confusing as saying We Bear Bears.
So I know basically nothing about this except that it is a Christian-inspired audio program that's been running for a while. But we're going to give it a listen. I found one that's 4 parts. They're about a half hour, which is about as long as a movie. So we'll probably just do that.
Okay.
But if I find something else, we'll do that.
All right.
I'll figure it out. I'll tell you later, obviously.
Great.
So get ready to hear some Paws and Tales. We're going to hear about maybe bears doing
bears.
adventures.
Animals in general. That's good.
Animals are innocent. Don't be speciesist.
Don't know what that is.
No, I'm going to show you. And remember, if you like the show, please give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast app or service you're using, and tell your friends about us any way that you can, because we need you. And if you don't have any friends to tell anybody you knew in your childhood. Tell your Kelly.
Tell your Kelly.
Links to everything are in the description of this episode, and there you can find social media as well as a website where you can send us a comment or a question so that we can have a mailbag. That's all I got.
All right.
Anything you want to say?
Not at all.
Well, thanks so much for listening. We appreciate
guys. You. We like you.
I'm tired.
Me too, Josh.
So bye.
Bye.